Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another live stream here in Delta T Racing. My name is Phoebe Thomas. Tonight we're going to be having an hopefully awesome race in Singapore. It does appear that there's only 12 people on the grid, with 5 people using their jokers, because I mean that is the maximum. So if everyone would have known there was only going to be 12 people, I'm pretty sure we would have had a different outcome in jokers. Well, depends on whether those guys were fast or not. As we're on board with Badups. Yeah. I got your name right, buddy. I'm probably gonna make another mistake and then... Yeah, it is what it is, guys. But with 5 people not being able to put a qualifying round here in Singapore, we're only gonna be having 7 people doing their qualifying times, and I'm quickly gonna have a look at the actual outcomes of those attendances, because then we can see who's actually and anticipate on who's actually going to use their jokers. So Tom Putty is one of them, Bombeer, Skipper, Brother Adam, and NLD Rush. So all of those guys will be using their jokers for tonight, and apparently Badups is going to do a qualifying for us tonight. Let's have a quick look with the results of the race as well. As, yeah, that's very important. Not necessarily the results, but the standings are obviously important. So I'm going to have a quick look at that. Division 3, that's our division, of course. The leader of the Drivers' Championship is J5, who is currently in that AlphaTauri car. Connor is in P2 and Hummer is in P3. But Hummer is not going to take part with us tonight, as apparently Badups has crashed himself out in his outlap. That's not a very good thing to do, Badups. You might want to prevent... Oh, all right. Apparently he didn't avoid doing it the next time, I guess. But no, Yep, alright, that was about it. So we've got J5, Connor, and Hummer in the top 3. And then obviously you see that Connor and J5 are in the same team. So AlphaTauri is currently leading the Constructors' Championship as well. Let me have a look with Composite here, all the way at the bottom of the pack. He is one of the guys who does put a qualifying lap on the board, as he's going to be racing with missed braking point, according to Brian, is what he said in the chat. And he will be indirectly using his joker as well, although it won't be any double points. So Composite currently out on track. He's in Sector 2, one of the difficult sectors here in Singapore, if I'm not mistaken. The only difficult sector, because you've got those very tight lines here heading into turn 12, that is, as you're going under the bridge. Composite seems to be going through there quite smoothly, and the way he controls his car seems to be very smooth as well. You can see he's not necessarily well, looking at his steering wheel, I'm getting some other... actually no, it's pretty smooth. Usually we see a big difference in people who use wheel and people who use their controllers, because the controller users can only go left and right with the joystick, right? But the guys on the wheel can easily go a little bit to the left, and then the wheel on the screen is actually going to replicate what you're doing in your car. Whereas the guys on the controller, they're going to be a little more stiff. So there is a big difference where we can see the guys on wheel usually being a little bit faster here in Singapore, because you need those smooth lines to flow through the track here in Singapore, and that's what you get with the wheel, of course. Connor Havoc currently out on track as well. He's heading into Sector 3, and you guys might be familiar with the Singapore track still having that bridge section where you had those fast left-right handers. But now it's turned out to be a straight, which is, in my opinion, a little bit frustrating, but it makes the racing definitely a little more interesting. I usually found that section of the track really fun to race in, especially in the wet weather conditions, as apparently we're going to be having a wet race Here in Singapore, the wet races could be a little chaotic, especially with the amount of walls that we're seeing around the track. Is going to be pretty spectacular, possibly half of the grid not finishing their race as well. But that's something that's going to keep the race interesting as well, because there's not too many overtaking opportunities here around Singapore, and especially in wet tire conditions, is going to be even more difficult for the guys to put a good to put a good move on the track here tonight. J5 Gaming currently in his first qualifying lap, as there's still about 12 more minutes to go in this qualifying session. A yellow flag in Sector 2 that is entering Sector 2, as that will be the Mercedes Piney Penguin, currently pitting a 131.3. Not a bad time for the Mercedes at all, as apparently I'm having some troubles with my... I don't know if I'm seeing that correctly, but with my PlayStation, as it seems like the screen is a little bit laggy, isn't it? If anyone who's watching could give me a little more information on that. I'm gonna watch on my phone as well. Yeah, you know, VB Thomas isn't VB Thomas if he doesn't have any technical issues, right? Oh, I'm listening to myself. That's not great. It seems to be pretty okay. J5 Gaming heading into the last corner section here around Singapore, and let's see what his time is going to be here out on track. It'll probably be somewhere around Connors, and it is indeed somewhere around Connors, about 4/10 faster than his very own teammate with a 130.0, as Connor had put a 130.4. Baza out on track as well, as the Williams driver hasn't necessarily put a good time on the board yet. Well, at least none that is validated or valid, whatever you want to call that. He's the only Williams driver out on track tonight, so hopefully he's gonna put a good name in for the Williams team, although it seems like he had a little slam with the ball there, at least from what I heard. Come to around Sector 3 right now. He did have the fastest second sector, as Brian in the chat said. I cannot believe it. And I think he's referring to the crash he had earlier, where he crashed into the wall. But this does give you an opportunity to prove yourself here out on track and possibly go from a last to first. That could be great. I guess that could promote you from Division 3 to Division 2, as Baza comes across the line with a 132.0. Not in last place, though, as that will be composite with a 133.1. As there appears to be another yellow flag heading into Sector 2. That's going to be a Kick Sauber, who is a little bit slower there. Is Baza up on his time? That could be a very good question, because there was a yellow flag heading into Sector 2, meaning that... No, a yellow flag, a purple flag heading into Sector 2, meaning his first sector was one of the faster ones out on track, although we do know that the game is a little bit fucked up every now and then, where it tells you that you're the fastest out on track and then you're not. I'm pretty sure we have all been tricked by EA in some sort of ways. NLD Rush is out on track as well, but he is not going to be up on his time. Well, at least he's not going to put a time on the table, because he has used his Joker. Baza is indeed up on his time by about 5/10. He's got a little bit of traffic up ahead. That might be either Composite or Skipper. If it is Skipper, he should go out of the way. If it is Composite, I think it is indeed Skipper, because he's coming back into the pits. Baza coming around the last corner, and it will be a P3. Good time by the Williams driver. Has found a lot of time on those worn out soft tires, and it will be a 131.1 so far. Still has a little bit of time to come back into the pits, put on some new tires, and then go out on track again. Although I'm unsure whether he actually needs to. A 131.1 is pretty strong. The only ones who could come a little closer are Piney Penguin and Raikkonen. I think Composite is in a different category here in Singapore. Then, of course, we've got the 5 at the bottom who are not going to put a time on the board. And then Bud Ups, who crashed himself into the wall. Well, at least he missed his breaking point, so unsure what happened there. Kind of didn't see it. Composite heading into Sector 2 as well. He's got his teammate up front, so he might want to get a little tow from his very own teammate. That could be very beneficial, although he backs out of the lap. Another AlphaTauri out on track. That's going to be Connor, J5, who's still in the pit lane. Although Connor did invalidate his very own qualifying time, and he crashes into the wall. What happened there? Interesting. I feel like that wasn't supposed to happen. Raikkonen currently in P5 as he's going to try and put a better time on the board as well. Did invalidate crossing the curb there, heading into Sector 3. Composite, is he going to go for another one? I would assume so, but he needs a little more space up ahead. Maybe a little slipstream from his teammate could be beneficial down the straight. But then I think he's a little bit too far behind. Skipper is also going to come back into the pit lane. So it will be no tow for Composite, as I'm unsure whether he's going to go on another fast one. It seems like he's coming into the pits. No, he's going to go for another one. Let's go on board with the Kick Sauber. As we're going down the straight, DRS wide open into turn 1. Not necessarily a hard braking zone, but you do need to clip the curb on the inside here in turn 2 as well. And then turn 3, a slower corner where you need a good exit onto the curb. He goes into turn 4, and then we've got that fast right-hander. Turn 5, clip the curb as much as possible on the inside, which Composite doesn't seem to be doing. Then we've got another DRS zone here. Turn 6, a long right-hander, and then we've got a 90 degrees corner to the left into turn 7. A lot of curb to be taken on the inside and the exit, where you can really gain a lot of time into turn 8. 90 degrees corner once again, and then another 90 degrees corner to the left, as it seems like he has had a pretty good exit there coming out of turn 10, if I'm not mistaken. Heading into turn 11, hard braking zone. Turn 12, then we've got turn 13 and 14 coming right up here under the bridge, or over the bridge, whatever you want to call it. And then we've got one of the slowest corners out on track, if I'm not mistaken, actually the slowest corner together with turn 3. Another DRS zone here for the guys to be used. And then we've got that fast right-hander where you can easily put your car a little more to the left than needed, because you've got that little wide line on the left side, well, on the right side of your car whenever you exit that corner. You just need to be within it with one wheel, and then you won't be getting any warnings. And that will be a lap around Singapore. Into the last corner he goes, and it will be a 132.7, a 410 improvement, but it's not going to gain him a single position here in Singapore. Piney Penguin has also retired from the session, as I'm unsure what's going on here with Connor and Piney, as there is another yellow flag. That will be Composite, letting through the McLaren brother Adam, who is out on track as well. Raikkonen now coming around Sector 2, and he's in that difficult section, those 90-degree corners. And this is a problem as well there in turn 9, I think it must be, or turn 10. Where you are clipping the curb on the inside too much. That's one of the only curbs you cannot clip too much, and the main reason for that is because when you go onto the curb, you can easily shoot a little bit through and then go into the wall, clip the wall with your front wing, with your wheels, and then your race could be donezo for the rest, for the remainder of the laps. So hopefully the guys are not going to be doing that too much. So especially here, Raikkonen, you need to watch out there. Don't clip the curb on the inside of turn 9, and you should be good to go. Yo, it's the Honey Badger. How are you doing, buddy? I'm glad to see you, well, back as well. I don't think you've ever left, but I'm back as well. I went for a very long vacation, which did me well. I really enjoyed it. Well, half of the vacation. The other half, I got a little bit bored of the location where we were, but apart from that, I'm well rested and ready to do commentary every Thursday here. I presume in Division 3 every week, because I was supposed to do Division 2, but then they told me, Thomas, do you want to do Division 3? And I said, sure. So here I am, I guess, Raikkonen is up on his time by only 84 thousandths of a second, but that does gain him a position on Piney Penguin. So I assume that the Mercedes thought that Raikkonen was not going to be able to improve on his time, but apparently he can. He just needs to keep that time here in Sector 2 and Sector 3. Goes a little bit too deep heading into turn 11, or is that turn 10? This might be turn 11, and this is turn 12 from what I remember. Turn 13, and then we've got turn 14. And then we're coming down the straight here in Singapore. DRS wide open, ERS wide open for the Haas driver. And let's see how much time he can gain. Oh, he lost a little bit of time in Sector 2. That must be when entering turn 10 there in Sector 2. But let's see whether he can gain a little more time here in Sector 3. About 80 thousandths is what he needs to be in the top 4 position, and then on the second row of the starting grid as well. Let's see what time he's going to put. A 131.4 does improve, but only by 13 thousandths of a second, so it won't be enough for Raikkonen, I'm afraid, and Piney Penguin takes P4 after all. J5 Gaming puts another better time on the board, does improve by a little bit, as he's now almost a second faster than Connor. And Baza is going to try to put himself and possibly squeeze himself in between the AlphaTauri boys with only 41 seconds remaining in this qualifying session. And I feel like the qualifying session has really is really passed rapidly. I don't know if that's the right way to say this. Oh, a little bit too much curb taken there. It seems like he got stuck, and then you know, whenever it's the same as entering turn 10 there. Whenever you go, oh no, this one. If you go into the curb a little too aggressive with the middle of your car, you're gonna get stuck, and your wheels are basically not on the ground anymore. So you need to wait before you're off the curb again, and then you can drive again. But it's gonna be very unstable for your car as well, because your tires will be either straight, as apparently Baza got a clip with the wall there. The qualifying is over as well, as Pombeer has still to cross the finish line. Baza is up on his time by about 2 tenths. This might be a pretty good time for Baza. And Honey Badger questions whether anybody can, well, challenge J5 here in Singapore, as it appears like he is 1 second faster than his very own teammate, who's also P2 in the Drivers' Championship. And Baza does improve by 3 tenths on his very own time, but I'm afraid he's still 3 tenths short to be able to squeeze himself in between both AlphaTauris. So that will be a qualifying for you guys. Pombeer is not going to put a better time on the board, at least that's what I'm thinking, as he will be starting from P8. Tom Beauty will be starting from P9. Skipper will start from P10. Brother Adam from P11. And then we've got NLD Rush all the way at the bottom of the grid, starting in P12. The unlucky thing when you're using your Joker, and whenever there is that many people on the grid using their Joker, the guy at the bottom of the grid basically has 5 places that he's lost. Well, 4. That he still has to recover, which isn't necessarily fair to the guy who is also using his Joker, but is the first one in the order to use his Joker. Well, you've got Pombeer there in P8. He's basically gaining 4 positions out of nothing, you see? So that is a little bit unfair in my opinion, but there's not much you can do as a league owner or anything. So I hope you guys are not minding this at all. It's a new well, it's not necessarily a new system, but it's a cool system. I quite like it. You get double points whenever you score points, which makes sense because not every position scores points. And here we've got the results of the short qualifying. J5 Gaming in pole position. He's starting from the front of the row. Connor Havoc next to him. And then we've got Baza in P3. Next to him is Piney Penguin on the second row. And further we've got Raikkonen, Composite, Budups, Pombeer, Tampuri, Skipper, Brother Adam, and NLD Rush all the way at the bottom of the grid. Not too many people out on track here tonight. 12 is... maybe if Hummer was here tonight, is what Guncha said in the chat, but he's not going to be here, I'm afraid. So only 12 people on the grid. which is still going to be enough to have a great race in Singapore. Apparently, we're also having a rain, so that's going to give some spectacular views for you as well, but also for me, of course, as it appears like it will only be the Inters. I don't know if you guys saw it, but if you didn't, feel free to watch the PSGL race in Silverstone again, if I'm not mistaken. And you will see that the one who won the race did it in a very special way. In my opinion, one of the most clever ways to win a Grand Prix whenever you're not in first place. As I might be able to spoil it already. I'll give a little spoiler alert, so I'll give you guys 10 seconds to put your volume a little bit lower. I'll explain it in like 1 minute before we're racing again. So if you don't want to listen to it and you want to watch it yourself, please feel free to do so. I will tell the story now. So it was Jarno Opmeer, I think it was in P3 or P4, and they came around lap 26 out of the 26. Heading into sector 3, he was still P3, P4. There was not much he could have done. And the way how he won this Grand Prix, everyone went into sector 3 and he came into the pits. Now, whenever you're coming into the pits in the last lap, it's gonna count you as finished. Now, he won that Grand Prix by 8 thousandths of a second. And he won that by finishing in the pit lane, which is, in my opinion, very, very clever from the Dutchman. Looking at tires, we are looking at intermediates for everyone here out on track, although it seems like J5 Gaming is having a little bit of troubles with those intermediates and keeping his car out on track. As I'm quickly going to look at my computer to see if my thing is doing any strange things. Doesn't appear to be so that's great. What was I trying to show again? Penalties, no, position changed. Because that is how I see that many people are gaining or losing positions and are in a good flow or in a bad flow. If you want some insider tips, feel free to give me a little DM. I've done more than 500 races already. I started doing commentary, if I'm not mistaken, F122? F122, I think I started doing commentary. Well, back then I did about 4 races a week. Right now I'm only doing 1, but my glory days are over. Let's say it like that. So, with everyone here out on track and possibly in the live stream as well, I would like to thank everyone for watching the live stream already if you're doing so. But I would also like to wish you good luck. Mr. Gunche in the chat wishes everyone a good luck as well with the another wet race that we're having here tonight. Luckily, it's only a intermediate tire condition race, so still a little bit of racing with not too much spray is going to be fun. But as soon as the race is getting a little more wet, we might see some troubles for a lot of guys. Here in Singapore, I feel like there is also going to be a couple of guys crashing themselves into the wall or getting crashed out in the wall. So I'm unsure whether some guys are coming into the pits. I thought I saw some guys coming into the pits. Apparently not. Mr. Grell is in the chat. How are you doing? He says, come on, Connor. And I'm pretty sure everyone in the chat has their very own favorites. With Raikkonen already getting disqualified, everyone is currently lining up on the grid. And we're going to go on board with Baza. I always pick 3rd place because those are the guys that usually get the best start. And also because they're having a little bit of a slipstream from the guy ahead. Brian in the chat says, good luck to everyone as well. As we've got our 5 red lights here in Singapore. Everyone is getting ready for the start of the Singapore Grand Prix. It's 5 red lights and away we go. Baza, who once again makes up a position already as Connor loses a couple. It seems like Finding Penguin is trying to go down the inside. Now gets overtaken by Raikkonen, who finds himself around the outside of the Mercedes driver. But it seems like J5 Gaming is the one who got best out of the starting grid there, with Baza not too far behind. We've got 3 positions gained for Tommy Pudi already, as Pombeer now gaining a position on Composite, who didn't necessarily have the greatest starts here in season 13. as Bombeer trying to find his way around Adam as well. Adam, who also had a pretty good start, starting in P11, currently in P7, so big points for the McLaren team already here, as brother Adam is the only one representing McLaren here in Singapore. Connor Havoc, unfortunately, couldn't keep up with the pace of Baza. He's about 1 second behind the Williams driver already, but the guys are not able to use the DRS anytime soon because the track is too wet and it could cause some dangerous situations. It appears like Connor is really trying to stick it himself into that slipstream of the Williams driver, trying to defend the inside line there as well, the Williams driver, as Connor is really up the ass of Baza right now. Into the slipstream he goes, but it's not going to be easy for the AlphaTauri driver to get back ahead of Baza. I really feel like, he doesn't have, I think he's a little bit glitching here tonight. Finally, Penguin, who might experience some issues with Connor glitching all over the place, although it's not been confirmed yet. I need some more evidence there. Tom Putty, who's keeping up with the pace of Raikkonen as well. We've got about 4 drivers battling it out right now for that top 2 position. J5 Gaming, who's already long gone with a 1.6 second gap to Baza already. But luckily we are all racing in similar cars, equal performance, so that means that whenever anybody is going to have a little bit of a worse lap, we could easily get a little bit closer. Imagine if J5 Gaming is going to be a little bit slower, Baza could creep in within, could creep to that 1 second gap again. It seems like Badobs is trying to defend from Composite right now, as the Kick Sauber driver is really within that 1 second of the Haas driver. But as I said before, it's not going to be easy to make an overtake. Maybe if the guy ahead of you is making a mistake, but it doesn't always appear to be so here around Singapore. Although it is a tricky track, the guys do tend to make fewer mistakes, although Badub's going a little bit too deep there, possibly touching the wall. Here comes Composite. Is it going to go down the inside? It appears like he is. And Badubs is already getting overtaken there, also by NLD Rush, who had a great exit coming out of turn 9. Heading into turn 10 right now, but Dubs, who lost about 2 positions there, didn't necessarily have a great qualifying, and now doesn't have a great start to his race either. Skipper, who's looking for an overtake as well. Is he going to go for a move down the inside? Maybe a crazy Daniel Ricciardo move. Oh, they're going side by side coming out of turn 14, but Skipper does take the position from the American driver. Let's go back to the top 3, as Connor Havoc managed to get within 5/10 of the Williams driver. Possibly a little too deep there. No, it doesn't appear to be so, but Piney Penguin really sticking it in the ass of Connor Havoc right now. About 5/10. Oh, it seems like Piney Penguin went a little bit off track there. That might have been a track warning, and that is something the guys need to worry about here around Singapore as well. Possibly another track warning here for the Mercedes driver. But as the rainy races are races where you're going to benefit from the guys getting penalties. If you're a guy who never gets any penalties, make sure you're not gonna get a penalty here either, because it's gonna gain you a lot of positions, possibly even a race win. If Baza can keep it within track limits, if you can keep it within 3 seconds, and J5 Gaming only crosses track limits 3 times, he's gonna win this Grand Prix here, Baza. So this is really important for the drivers as well, to know that they're not allowed, not necessarily allowed, but they're not. Well, they shouldn't be crossing any track limits, because it's really going to drop you a lot of positions if the other guys around you are not going to get any penalties. But it appears like the guys are really struggling. Piney Penguin is the first one to get a 3-second time penalty, and we're only in lap 3 out of the 31. But it seems like it's really struggling here for the guys out on track. A lot of guys sliding all over the place, not necessarily finding any traction in Singapore, and that is what makes these races difficult as well. Oh, there goes Piney Penguin into the wall, possibly suffering from that dirty air from Connor Havoc, and that's something you're going to experience here around Singapore as well. A lot of dirty air in the rain. It's going to be even harder to work around, and that's exactly what Piney Penguin felt there as he went into the wall. Did he have a broken front wing? It appears like he has. So I'm afraid that he's going to have to come back into the pit lane as Baza and Connor Havoc are catching up to J5 Gaming. So this is what I said about J5 Gaming having a worse lap than his other ones. And when Baza and Connor Havoc possibly working together with each other, they could come a little bit closer to J5 Gaming as well. Brother Adam is the second one with a 3-second time penalty, as that will make him drop 1 position so far. But there's still plenty of racing to be going on. 27 laps still to be raced. So we still have plenty of time to make up for that 3-second time penalty. And maybe, I don't know if Delta T Racing actually does such things, but maybe he could get a 3-second time penalty removed whenever it is unjustified. Some leagues delete 3-second time penalties whenever you're taking a recording of the race director with the amount of warnings you get. And with the amount of, with footage of why you got that penalty. If they're saying, yeah, you didn't cross the track limits, obviously the game knows whenever you do and do not cross track limits. But every now and then there could be a glitch. I think we saw one in Spain last year, if I'm not mistaken. Or was that wobble? I think it was the wobble that was causing any issues. As we might want to go on board with Connor here. And we might want to delete these position changes as well. But yeah, of course, a 12-man race is going to make things a little less interesting because we've only got 2 drivers who are within 1 second of the guy ahead of them. One being Skipper, who seems to be dropping out of that 1 second right now, and the other one being Connor Havoc. Now, I know that Connor is kind of a patient guy. He doesn't necessarily go for the fastest moves, but he does go for the best moves. So hopefully he can do the exact same thing here with Baza. Patiently waiting, trying to stick within that slipstream, and then possibly make a move coming down a straight. And there is no necessary reason to go too fast to try and be too fast, because he doesn't necessarily need to battle with his teammate J5 Gaming. It's still a long way for the Drivers' Championship. And I don't think you need to make any reckless decisions trying to get past Baza as soon as possible, which could lead you crashing into the wall, for example, or something like that. So what Connor needs to do is trying to figure out what the best place is to make an overtake in, and try to go and make that move, actually. It also depends on what setup the guys are running. You know, whenever you're running a little more downforce, you're going to be... 1 second. Oh my, I needed to sneeze, but I wanted to mute myself and then I was too late, and then it doesn't matter. Whenever you're running a little more wings, you're going to be a little faster here in the wet tire conditions as well. But then coming down the straights, whenever you do not have any wings, you're going to be faster down the straights as well. And that is exactly what we're seeing here. Coming through Sector 2, where you do need a lot of wings, we see that Baza is pulling away. But then on the straights, we see that Connor is creeping a little closer. You can see here coming down the straight, he's gaining a little bit of time, although not necessarily in the slipstream, so he's not going to gain any time here down the straight. This is very interesting. But yeah, it really depends on what setup you're running. Whenever you're running lower wings, you're going to get better exit because you're not going to have any oversteer. My apologies. J5 Gaming with 146 now, putting the fastest lap out on track, as it appears like Baza and Connor are struggling here. And let's go on board with Skipper, who is still up the tail of his fellow Dutchman, as Kicksauber are having a little battle with the Aston Martin team. Composite, who's about 4.3 seconds behind Pombeer. So not a big battle there, but NLD Rush is really stuck between those two Kicksaubers. I also call it the Kicksauber sandwich, which is about €5 ordered with a drop of mayonnaise, if you like. And this can be ordered at www.bogarovsky.nl. Love you, Bog. Here comes Skipper, who's up on his very own time by 59,000. So he really tries to push the limits and try to get that overtake on NLD Rush as soon as possible, as it appears like it stopped raining. So we're possibly going to have a dry race pretty soon, whenever the guys are going to switch onto another set of tires, although it appears like it's raining here. There's parts of the track where it's not raining, and then this part of the track, it It appears like it's raining it again, or was it me who was in the mistake, in the wrong? I don't know. I need to blow my nose. Hold up. I'll be right back, guys. J5 Gaming with another fastest lap here in Singapore. Not much is happening at the moment, although Connor's still within that 1 second. Skipper's still within that 1 second. And yeah, I don't know what much to say about this race. It appears like my screen is a little bit lagging. I don't know what's happening at the moment. Skipper. I feel like this is going to be a problem for the Dutchman for quite some time now. You know, he's stuck within that dirty air of NLD Rush. He's stuck in that kick sour. Yeah, that's what I mean. It's really lagging. I don't know what's happening. I'll switch over to this screen and then you guys are going to be able to see everything. Let's go on board with Connor as he's a little bit closer to Baza now, heading into Sector 3. And this could potentially be an opportunity for the V-Carb driver. I feel like I've been saying AlphaTauri for quite some time now. And I think I did. My apologies if I did. To the AlphaTauri team, to the V-Carb team. I still find it a very strange name. Visa, Ketchup, Red Bull. Like, Visa and Ketchup doesn't necessarily go along because it's a different system or something. It's a different service, so they're kind of competitors, but then also not, I guess? I don't know. Oh, and but Dubs retired from the race. He's gonna crash out heading into Sector 3. And that will be race over for the American driver, who's not been very lucky throughout the race, but he was also not very lucky in the qualifying. So, oh no, never mind. I thought I saw something, but apparently not. Yellow flags, as that will be a virtual safety car. The guys will have to be a little bit slower here out on track. I think they'll have to race at 60% of their racing speed, if I'm not mistaken. Ah, it's all right, Brian. You did well. I'm happy I got your name right, I guess. Oh, yeah, and we're racing again. Green flags, and away we go. And the guys are cruising around still here in Singapore. With not much happening, although Connor Havoc now really, really close to the tail of Baza. Down the straight we go. DRS has still not been enabled. We might want to look at the ERS deployment of the guys here out on track. Connor still has about 60% in his car. And I feel like Baza has a little bit more, and he does indeed. Connor looking for an overtake, but it's not going to happen here. Maybe if he has a good exit coming out of the last corner where he could potentially get a good exit. There's not much time you're going to lose from that dirty air. And he's really close. He had a really good exit as Baza now defends the inside line, goes back onto the racing line. Connor needs to try something. It's Baza who loses the rear, but he recovers quite fine. Connor now really on the tail of the Williams driver. Had a bad exit as Baza now increases his gap to about 5/10. Thank you very much, Brian. Appreciate that. Never had a good car. Yeah, I feel like that's the problem here with F125. The guys are good at making setups for dry races, but then on the other hand, you've got those wet races where you don't necessarily know what you're doing with the wet tire setups. As apparently NLD Rush got past composite. And that is good news for the Aston Martin team, as they're currently MP8 and MP9. They're both going to score double points. And Skipper, who, well, used his Joker for tonight, he is going to be MP11, so not scoring any double points tonight, I'm afraid. Although, is it going from P1 to P15 or P1 to P10? Because I'm kind of lost with all the leagues I'm in. Everyone is using a different point system. It's doing my head in. No, but I was saying something right with setups. Yeah, with the setups. So setups are difficult, but usually what the guys do in not necessarily professional, but esports level, well, semi esports, I guess. I got a couple of buddies who know a lot of setups, and they just tell me, Thomas, if you're not an expert in setups, just bump up your wings to a little more, I guess about 5 to 10 more. Here comes Connor Havoc down the inside. Oh, it seems like he was parking his car on the curb. Baza, who didn't see that coming, but he does get past the Williams driver. And I feel like, the moment was waiting to be there. And yeah, it happened eventually. In lap 10, it took Connor 10 laps to get past the Williams driver as Piney Penguin crashed out. He has that broken front wing though, Tom Putty, who now gets past the Mercedes driver as well. Top 10 only. Thank you very much, Goncha. I really appreciate that. No, but yeah, setup-wise, you want to just bump up your wings and you should be good to go. Just make sure you're possibly bumping up your traction control as well. I know a lot of guys... Well, from this view, it doesn't appear like there is any rain, right, guys? Oh, yeah, and then you're looking at this, and then it's raining. It looks like it's... In Belgium, we have a saying for that. We say, duiveltjes kermis. I have no idea how to explain that in English. It's the... What is kermis anyway in English? Oh my god. Fair? I think it's a fair. I think the Americans have a lot of fairs as well. One is, for example, the one in Los Angeles on that bridge. Yeah. So, what it means is that... Oh, another yellow flag. That doesn't mean another yellow flag, but there is another yellow flag that will be the Mercedes. And he's going to let everyone go through because he doesn't have a single front wing to play around with. And he's going to have to come into the pits and switch on to another front wing, I guess. But... whenever somebody crashes out, he could still get points. So just come into the pits, put on a new front wing, and you should be good to go for another 20 laps. And you've got fresh tires as well. But no, Devil just get me. So it means it's the fair of devils, I guess. And it means they're having fun in hell, I guess. I don't know. It is what it is. For any religious guys, feel free to not listen to what I just said. I know it can get a little sensitive every now and then. Skipper on the tail of composite as both the Kick Sauber drivers lost the toe of NLD Rush. So I guess they'll have to be happy with the place they're in right now. It appears like there's one or two teams that are currently at the bottom of the standings here in this race. So now I'm just quickly going to look whether that's the actual case for the actual full team standings as well. F1 standings, here we go. And it appears like that is Ferrari. Ferrari, who has only scored 6 points in the last... How many races is that? 5 races. So that is not great for Ferrari. There is no Ferrari driver here either. And the Ferrari drivers are Lacazzi and Jesse Vellekoop. So those drivers haven't necessarily gotten a lot of points yet, as Ferrari only got 6 so far. Yellow, who doesn't have a single point. And then, of course, Lacazzi, who's got 6. No, but Aston Martin is in P9. So it's great that they're beating Kick Sauber right now. Kick Sauber, who's in P6. But I think that's mainly, not necessarily because of pace. Oh, and it appears that Piney Penguin has also crashed in Sector 2. And we've got our first yellow flag. But as I was saying, guys in Kick Sauber, I'm not saying you're the slowest out on track, because you know you've got two guys below you already. Not necessarily saying they're slower either, but a P6 doesn't mean you're fast. It means you're consistent, and that's what I appreciate about the Kick Sauber boys. They're not always the fastest out on track. They're not always in the top 3 or whatever, but they're just there every race. They're gonna score points every race. They're gonna race every race. They're gonna finish every race, and that is what puts them in P6. You can have the fastest drivers out on track. For example, let's say Jelle or Jesse, whatever his name is, Jesse and Lakasis are the 2 fastest guys out on track. Not necessarily saying they are, but imagine they're at the bottom with 6 points, and that's just because they're not scoring any points. The only race where they did score points was in Silverstone. I think that was because Lakasis got a decent amount of points. That must be P8 or P7. As I do see the guys coming into the pits, possibly for another set of intermediate tires. But as I said, you know, you've got Williams in P7. Williams is represented by Baza tonight, so they might jump the position on the Kick Saubers as well. And then you've got Alpine, Haas, McLaren, Red Bull, and Racing Bulls. Red Bull not being here tonight, and that is Hummer, of course, who is not here, together with... who is his teammate? Red Bull, that must be Rolf, who was here last week as well. I'm sure you guys remember Rolf, or Raf, or... No, I'm pretty sure it's Rolf, because he's Dutch. He usually don't say Raf, or Ralph, or whatever. No. Oh, a 10-second time penalty for brother Adam. That is not great. Connor Havoc, who's now coming into the pits as well. A lot of guys seem to be coming into the pits. And that is good news for the race, because that's going to give everyone the same tires, the same vehicle condition, the same everything, and we're going to have a race again. And that means that we're also going to have a race between J5 Gaming, Connor Havoc, and Baza. And also the guys from Aston Martin and Kick Sauber. We haven't necessarily seen too much from Raikkonen, Tom Putty, and brother Adam, mainly because they're all at a different pace category here in Singapore. So yeah, we're gonna have to be patient and see whether anything is actually going to happen in the next couple of laps. But first, we're gonna have to wait before the safety car is coming into the pits, and that will be around lap 15, 16, depends on how fast the guys from Aston and Kick Sauber are gonna get closer to the safety car as well. Usually, whenever the safety car crosses the line from sector 2 and sector 3, it's gonna tell you whether there will be a safety car or not. So, well, you've got the line coming up in about 10 to 15 seconds. So let's see whether it's gonna tell us that there's gonna be a restart. But I can tell you that there's not going to be one, and the main reason is because the guys in Aston and Kick Sauber are still a long way back from the safety car train. But let's see whether everyone is on the intermediates. I think they are. Composite and Skipper came into the pits about a lap ago, and all of these guys are on fresh new tires. So yeah, the guys are gonna have to be a little patient with the safety car coming back into the pits. If you guys have any stories to tell, feel free to do so in the chat. I don't know if I have any stories to be told about Singapore. Singapore used to be a very big pirate city. I don't know if you guys knew that. I'm really into pirates. Well, I'm not gonna say I'm a geek for pirates or anything, but I like my Jack Sparrow, you know. Brother Adam coming into the pits, possibly had another broken front wing. Oh no, he's serving his 10-second time penalty. Can you? Oh yeah, you can. And that's a good idea from Brother Adam. He's got the pace to get past the Kick Saubers and the Aston Martins. But as I said, you know, I'm a big pirate fan. I like, you know, series about pirates and films about pirates, movies, however you want to call it. You know, your Jack Sparrow, your One Piece, Yeah, they're all good fun. And another big fact, I really don't like boats, and I don't like to go onto the sea, so that is a little contradictory to my pirate story, but hey, why not, you know? No, but I really don't like boats. I feel like I'm not necessarily getting sick from boats. It's just I don't like the feeling being on a boat, you know, in the middle of water. Whenever you're sinking, there's not much you can do. I feel like that's the exact same thing with airplanes, though. So yeah, I also don't understand how a boat can float on water, and this might make me seem like a fucking imbecile, but like, how does a boat or a cruise ship or like a container ship, a cargo ship, how does that float on water? It does not make any sense. Well, it probably does make sense, but I wasn't really too much of a science guy anyway when I was smaller. So, well, science, I'm talking about science here, not data science or anything, because I do love data, and if you're looking for a data analyst, feel free to contact me, because I'm still looking for a couple of freelance jobs. Boats use air to float. Do they? I didn't know that. I thought it was something about having the right structure of the underside of the boat or something, which makes them being able to float. But then on the other hand, that doesn't necessarily because I know that there's, I don't know the exact word in English for it. In Dutch we call it dichtheid van de stof, or whatever you want to call it. And it means the amount of volume there is in a specific object. So for example, gold is going to is not going to float, it's going to sink, because there's too many particles within one cubic centimeter of that specific object. So for example, well, yeah, you've got I don't know, a plastic bag. I guess there's not much particles within 1 cubic centimeter, so it needs to be above 1. I think water is 1, and then whenever density, that was what I was looking for. Thank you very much, Grellis. So the density of the object needs to be below 1, and then it can float. Whenever it's under 1, it's going to sink. It's basically just a bowl of air, is what Grellis says. Thank you very much. Are you into boats yourself? Grellis, I'm not a boat guy, but it's just crazy how people came up with this idea. Also, like planes and stuff. I get planes. I get why planes fly more than why boats float, I guess. I don't know if that makes sense. But we are not here to talk about boats or planes. We're here to talk about the winner of the Singapore Grand Prix, and that will be on your screen in about 16 laps, as we're heading into lap 16 out of the 31. J5 Gaming is going to start this safety car restart, and off we go. It appears like everybody has already started their well, safety car restart, whatever you want to call it. Raikkonen is really close to Baza right now, about 4 tenths. There is a yellow flag in sector 2. What has happened? Baza with a 3-second time penalty, and that will be his hopes for a top 2 position long gone with that 3-second time penalty, and potentially his P3 could be in danger as well. Raikkonen is really close, and I feel like he's not necessarily going to give up anything. There's still a yellow flag in sector 2, so unsure what that is, because there's nobody in sector 2. That could still be the car of the Mercedes, potentially, who crashed in sector 2. But Grellis in the chat says, yeah, but the density of a boat includes the areas taken up by air, so the air brings the density down a lot. That makes sense. That makes sense. Thank you very much. That makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. Thank you. I really appreciate that, as it appears like Brother Adam already got past Skipper there. Kind of missed that. Connor Havoc is now closer to his very own teammate, and he can stay within that slipstream to possibly get away from Baza as well. Composite now on the tail of NLD Rush. We've got another message from Goonche or Goonche, whatever it is. Holland is a typical boat country. Loads of boats are sold in Holland. Yeah, but that's also because you guys have got a lot of rivers, no? Oh! Brother Adam going a little deeper than he wanted to. Down the inside he goes. Beautiful overtake. And he's passed. Beautiful overtake heading into Sector 3. As J5 Gaming puts another fastest lap on the board. Especially those new tires are going to do him well. As Raikkonen dropped the pace a little bit here. Outside that 1 second of Baza. And that is not good news if he wants to get that podium position. As I said, I said it before, you know, you've got the differences in pace in the midfield. Raikkonen is 1.4 seconds slower than Baza. You've got Tom Putty, who's 1.4 seconds slower than Raikkonen. So you could say they sell a boatload. That's a good one. Raikkonen caught up to Baza again within that 1 second range. And I feel like it's really depending on which part of the track they're on at the moment. You know, right now, Raikkonen is losing a little bit of time in Sector 2. And we saw it with Connor Havoc and Baza as well. Last couple of laps where Baza was a lot faster in Sector 2. But then in Sector 1 and Sector 3, he was really losing a lot of time. And it appears like that is exact the same thing here in the battle between Baza and Raikkonen. Raikkonen not gaining a lot of time here in Sector 2. But then in Sector 3, heading into Sector 3, he's going to gain a lot of time again. Tries to stay within those wet zones to keep the tires cool as well, as you don't want to overheat your intermediates too much, because that's going to make you all slippery and stuff. It's funny how the thing with the slicks is you want to keep them as cold as possible. Oh no, it's with the wets as well. I don't know what I'm saying. Never mind. Never mind. At the bottom, we're still having a battle between Composite and Skipper, and then Brother Adam was not getting loose of these two. It seems like, you know, it reminds me of that Pokemon game. There is a Pokemon game where you have like these skull guys. I don't know. It reminds me of, you know, Ash trying to get away from those skull buddies or something like that. Ah, this is quite funny. He's surrounded by green monsters. Everybody in the points as it stands. Indeed, and a lot of guys are scoring double points as well. I think Piney Penguin was someone who was not using their Joker. I think everyone who is currently using their Joker is still on track, and they are indeed. So that is good news. Brother Adam stuck behind the Dutch driver. Unsure whether Composite is American or... no, he's not American. He might be Dutch as well. Unsure. Unknown territory there for me. As Tom Putty got up to Raikkonen. So let's see how this battle is going to unravel themselves. Itself is what I meant to say, of course. I probably have one of the weirdest addictions ever, but I like water. It's not that I like water, it's just that I'm a little bit addicted to water. I don't drink coffee, I don't drink tea, I drink water. You know, I might be one of the boring guys that drink 4 liters of water a day, but you know, it's healthy and it feels good in my mouth, I guess. And I just got the confirmation that Composite is indeed Dutch. So Brother Adam finding himself around 4 Dutchies. Definitely a place I do not want to be in. Gorilla says there's worse things to be addicted to. Yeah, exactly. But I feel like every now and then those things are getting, you know, generally accepted or something like that. I don't know. Whenever I go to work, for example, yeah, I have a funny anecdote. There's a guy at work and he is addicted to, like, you know, doom scrolling on TikTok or on Instagram, whatever, and also on coffee. So he asked me, Thomas, everyone has addictions. What is your addiction? And I said, you know, I really, really, really like the feeling of water in my mouth. And he was like, Thomas, what is wrong with you? Everyone has addictions and you come with water. What of a boring person are you? That was probably one of the funniest conversations I had in a long time. Yeah. So Composite and Skipper are still trying to work together to get closer to Brother Adam. It's about a 1 second gap from Composite to Brother Adam right now. Yes, we might want to have a quick look at the penalties real quick to see who's going to actually drop a position. And it seems like Baza is still not getting loose off Raikkonen here. He's about 1.1 second behind Baza. And that means that Baza is going to drop back to P5. Because we've got Tom Putty also within 3 seconds of Baza there. So maybe the both of them could work together to creep a little closer to Baza rather than to battle it out with each other. Because that is going to both gain them a position. We're looking at the NLD Rush and Brother Adam also dropping 2 positions. The both of them, of course. Mainly because Composite and Skipper are not having any single penalties. So this is, on the other hand, good for Pombeer, because he knows that he's not going to get overtaken by NLD Rush or Brother Adam anytime soon, mainly because they're 4 seconds behind, but also because of that 3 second time penalty. And NLD Rush and Brother Adam are also going to hold back Composite and Skipper. Maybe they're going to experience a little bit of tire wear later on this race. There's about 11 more laps to go. But still, I think they can keep the pace up and stay within that 3 second range of NLD Rush and Brother Adam, of course. Where am I from? No, I'm not a Dutchie, mate. I'm Belgian, but I do speak Dutch, so yeah. That's the reason why I said I didn't want to be in a Dutch sandwich. You know, a little biased here, but nah, I have a lot of, well, not necessarily a lot, but I have a few Dutch friends, which I'm getting along with quite fine, so I guess I can with these guys as well. Based on your name, I feel like you're Dutch as well, Koontje. Raikkonen caught up to Baza as well within 1 second now of the Williams driver. As that 3 second time penalty of Baza really did him dirty there. But still plenty of time to possibly cause another 3 second time penalty for Raikkonen. You know, whenever I was racing, and I got back on my wheel a couple of weeks ago. I bought the game and I told myself, Thomas, if this game has decent, you know, how do you call that? Decent mechanics, yeah, that was the word I was looking for. If it has decent mechanics, we're going to start racing again. Because I used to be pretty good on F121 and F122. I used to be like top 1% on like a lot of tracks. And that was good back then. So I told myself, Thomas, you're going to start racing again. And eventually I did. I don't even know what I wanted to say here. What did I want to say again? Oh, man, I can't even remember. Was it something about Dutchies? I don't think it was it? I don't know. The water kicks in, guys. Brother Adam still stuck on the tail of NLD Rush, but he's really close. He's really close. Is he going to try and make a move coming out of turn 14? A little tap there from NLD Rush with the wall. And Brother Adam really needs a good exit. Oh, he goes onto the throttle too soon. And that's going to lose him a bit of time. He really needed a good exit coming out of turn 14 to make a move down the inside here in turn 15. But he'll have to wait another lap, I'm afraid. As Raikkonen, I think he's not going to try and make a move on Baza. And that could be very strategic. But also, on the other hand, it could be very dangerous. Because if you're going to get a 3 second time penalty yourself, you still need to make that overtake work. And that's not always good news for... Oh, Brother Adam with a track limit there. Gunshan in the chat says, yes, I'm Dutch as well. Your English pronouncements, I guess you mean pronunciation, is really good, to be honest. Thank you very much. Well, I started learning English when I was small. Because I went to the United States every year. When I was small. I repeat, when I was small. We went to the United States almost every year. And that's where I really learned to talk English. I also watched all my series in English and stuff. So I had a lot of online friends as well who were English and American and stuff like that. Sometimes when I talk Dutch, I even switch to English because, yeah, my it sometimes seems like my vocabulary in English is better than my Dutch vocabulary, but that doesn't make sense because I've been talking Dutch for about 22 years. But no, yeah. Also, commentary is done a lot. I think whenever American English, aka fake English, well, it's the same English. I guess it's the same discussion as Dutch and Flemish, I guess. But no, yeah, I've done more than 500 races as well. So, you know, after 500 races, it kind of gets into a, you kind of get into a groove where you know what to say and you know what to explain. So every now and then, whenever I need to improvise, I need to I need to think a little bit about what I'm going to say. But luckily, you guys are in the chat as well, who can help me a little bit, keeping the conversation up. As Brother Adam now in the tail of NLD Rush again. American English is much more understandable than the real English one. I agree with you. I have spoken to so many Englishmen who I didn't understand, and like American is just easy. They pronounce things way better than the English. Every now and then when I'm talking to an Englishman, they're like very mumbling. I don't know if that is a word, but like they're it kind of makes sense as Brother Adam goes for a move around the outside. It's NLT rushes defends the inside line, pushes Brother Adam a little bit off track there, but Brother Adam still has a better position than the Dutchman. He goes for a move down the inside and then a beautiful overtake. Connor is closing up the gap. Let me go on board with Connor as he's about 2.5 seconds behind J5 Gaming. I'm not going to say they're going to work together because Connor also already has a 6-second gap to Baza, so I don't think they're working together. But look at Pombear. He managed to get closer to Tom Buddy here as well. Is that more of an accent problem? I do mumble. What a move. Yeah, I feel like it is an accent problem because whenever somebody speaks a little more posh, I understand them better. Whenever they're from the posher side of London, I feel like they're very well understandable, but then I feel like Birmingham is also pretty decent. I do know a lot of you guys think they have an ugly accent, but I feel like they're quite understandable. But then where you're going to Liverpool, for example, or Manchester, I have no idea what they're saying. I have my girlfriend, her brother is together with somebody from Lancaster, close to Manchester. Whenever she talks to me, I have no idea what she's saying. And then she thinks that I cannot speak any English because I never understand what she's saying. But then I'm like, yeah, you know what? You're just, you remind me of like, somebody who can't even pronounce words, but yeah, it is what it is. Oh, a lot of moves to be done here. Bumbeer with a move down the inside on Tom Putty. This is a very exciting battle because we haven't seen any battles for quite some time. Tom Putty going down the inside, backs out of it again, back onto the racing line, and that's going to be Bumbeer in P5. And he's one of the guys who also used his Joker, so a lot of points on the table for Bumbeer, 20 to be exact. And that is a big opportunity as well for Aston Martin, as they're quite low down the order in the Constructors' Championship battle, P9 to be exact. So this could really be not necessarily an outbreak, but really do them well. Yeah, English people can't understand English people. That's what I'm saying, right? My dream, it's probably never gonna happen, but like my dream is that my woman, whenever I marry when I'm older, I guess, speaks in a Western, like Midland American accent. You know, you've got Alabama and stuff, and like Tennessee. Oh man, I don't know if you guys know the series of Ginny and Georgia. I'm sure your wives or your girlfriends or whatever, if you have a boyfriend and you watch Ginny and Georgia as well. Yeah, I'm sure some do. There's this girl who has an accent. I think it's Ginny, isn't it? Or is it Georgia? I don't know. It's probably Georgia. It is Georgia. She has an accent. Boy, do I tell you that I find that a hot accent. Damn. As Raikkonen is trying to close down the gap to Basel once again. He doesn't need to make the overtake, just stick within the track limits and he should be good to go. On the other hand, Bomber is closing in as Tom Putty apparently came into the pits. Might have had a front wing damage and a front wing repair. That could be the case because otherwise you wouldn't come into the pits. He went on to another set of intermediates. I don't think those last intermediates were too old yet, so there was no point for him to come into the pits. And the fact that he got overtaken by Pombeer also means that he possibly was a little slower, which could be a result from a broken front wing as well. So Raikkonen now in P4. That glitch was in the PlayStation, not necessarily my live stream. So Raikkonen 2014. Wait, does that mean that this guy is 11 years old? No, right? I must be on the wrong end of the story. Pombeer is catching up rapidly. Look at that. He came from 1.4, 1.5 seconds to 6/10 right now. He really found a space here in Singapore, and he could be looking at a top 4, a top 3. That could be a podium position for Pombeer, and if he gets in P3, that could be a 30-point total for the Aston Martin, and this is good news for the Dutchman. Can he make the overtake on Raikkonen? He's gonna get 12 points, well, 24 points anyway. But 30 would be a hell of a lot better, wouldn't it? Connor was catching up earlier, but I'm afraid that he's still 3.2 seconds behind. He dropped from 2.5 to 3.2. So this is not a good sign for the AlphaTauri, well, the VCarb driver. And J5 Gaming is once again strengthening his position in the Drivers' Championship, as he's currently in P1 and he's gonna stay in P1. Pombeer, who's putting faster laps in after fastest laps, because Brother Adam with a 3-second time penalty. That's a total of 6 seconds, and that could mean that Kick Sauber is going to get into the top 6. Depends on whether Composite can keep up the pace with Brother Adam. There's about 5 more laps to go, so not that much time for Brother Adam to gain much time. And Raikkonen seems to be struggling. Pombeer is in a very good position right now, 5/10s behind the Haas driver. He takes a little wider line to get a better exit, but I'm afraid it is not happening. Raikkonen is really struggling. You can really see that he's going onto the throttle a little too soon, making his car go from left to right. Pombeer, who's, oh yeah, you can see it again. Raikkonen really struggling, and I wouldn't be surprised if we were going to see a crash by the Haas driver. It's a real struggle for him right now to keep his car under control, and they might be overheating the tires. Maybe he should go in a... Oh, wait! Why is Basa coming into the pits? Why is Basa coming into the pits? This is catastrophic for the Williams driver. What is happening? Why is he coming into the pits? Are the tires overheating? I don't know. The other guys behind him were also struggling, so I don't think there was any point to come into the pits. Now he's going to drop back to P8. This is not good news. Oh, what has he done? I need some backstory on that, because that didn't make any sense. Tom Putty now making the overtake on Baza as well. They're not going to have enough time to get back to these guys, I guess. NLD Rush now with the fastest lap, 143.2. Pombeer again on the tail of Raikkonen, as apparently Brother Adam got a little closer as well. He's not going to gain a position, but he needs to make sure that he doesn't lose the position. So maybe not battle with these guys too much, but just stick within their ERS, I guess, and slipstream. I mean, you cannot stick within some of the easy ERS. That doesn't make any sense, but I meant slipstream, and then use your ERS to stick within the slipstream, of course. Pombeer is really smooth on the entry of turn 14 there. Raikkonen going from left to right again, coming out of turn 14. This is not good news, but he needs to hold tight for another 4 laps. Connor Havoc, who now drops 5 seconds behind J5 Gaming, and this is not good news for Connor either. It's Raikkonen and Pombeer. Are they catching up? Around a 5-second gap as well. Connor Havoc gaining a bit of time here in Sector 3. Raikkonen now coming into the pits as well. Huh? I'm really, really confused. A 146? We saw NLD Rush bidding a 143? Why is Raikkonen coming into the pits? What is this strategy? These guys are throwing away wins here. Well, not necessarily wins, but like really good positions. Tom Putty is going to be ahead, but Baza is not going to be ahead by much. Maybe like 3 or 4 seconds, but 3 or 4 seconds a lap isn't going to gain you 25 seconds, guys. What is this strategy? I'm really, really, really confused. Baza only gained 4 seconds. 4 seconds, we have 4 more laps to go. That would be 16 seconds in total at most. I really hope that Pomber isn't going to come into the pits, because that would be a P3 thrown away easily. Tom Putty still has a 12-second gap to Skipper and Composite. And then they need to get past those two. Get past Brother Adam. Get past Pomber again. Did they have I don't know. Man, I'm so confused. Very interesting strategy. Are they hoping for a safety car or something? Wait, let me just check what tires they're on. Intermediates? Pombeers doesn't seem to be struggling at all. Just let Brother Adam go through and then it's done with. You know, he's got that 6-second time penalty. There's nothing you should risk here. Well, Brother Adam shouldn't be risking anything either, but you know, he's really gaining a bit of time on Composite and Skipper there. He's already secured a P5 position, but that P4 could be very beneficial for McLaren, especially being the only driver out here. Oh, and then Raikkonen gets a 3-second time penalty. Connor's dropping, check his front wing. I think his tires are just gone. I feel like a lot of guys' tires are gone because they're really sliding all over the place. It could be that, you know, Singapore is a really tire-consuming track, though. So that could be the case right there. But then on the other hand, you know, you've got a lot of heat and those intermediates need to stay cool for them to function well. And I feel like that's not the exact same case here, but Pombeer is doing an amazing job. Oh, look at that. Pombeer is catching up. Could this be a top 2 position for the Dutchman? 36 points would do a lot for the Aston Martin team. And I think that is more than what they've scored already this season. I'm quickly going to check. But if I'm not mistaken, I am correct. They scored a total of... wait, Aston Martin is in P3? I thought they were P... No, I'm looking at the wrong standings here. Hold up. This is the better one. Yeah, Aston Martin has scored a total of 21 points. So if Pombeer can get past Connor, he's going to score more points than his team. Well, him and his teammate scored in 2 races combined. And this is good news for Pombeer and NLD Rush, especially with NLD Rush being in P10. The other guys are not going to get close enough. Tom Putty's still 10 seconds behind Skipper. This is not good news for the guys who came into the pits, but I guess they were a little bit afraid of punctures. And that is something that could happen. Maybe Connor has a puncture. Maybe he has a puncture. He definitely doesn't have a broken wing, but he's sliding all over the place. Look at that. And then you've got Pombeer flowing through turn 3. Not any signs of sliding. Maybe a little bit here. Adam is stuck behind Pombeer, but yeah, it's looking great for Adam as well. Oh, and there goes Connor. He might have had... Oh, and there goes Brother Adam. Missed his braking point, but he went for a move. Full on Daniel Ricciardo mode, and what a move. Connor Havoc. That is tire age. 17 laps, if I'm not mistaken. 17 laps indeed. This is not good news for Connor. Is he going to come into the pits? He's going to score points anyway, so any point scored is good, I guess. Oh, what is this? Oh, yeah, he does have a puncture. He does have a puncture. I'm really surprised how you can still race like this. Oh, he's going to park his car there, I guess. Oh, no, he couldn't brake. He couldn't brake. Oh, man. What a way to finish your Grand Prix. No, but his tires were apparently gone. And I guess the guys should have come into the pits a second time. And that is exactly what Baza and Raikkonen did, and that could explain why they came into the pits so late into the race. They didn't want to have what Connor had, and yeah, Connor is still struggling. He's only just entered Sector 2. Not good news for the VCARB driver, especially with his teammate coming around the penultimate lap right now. We might want to go on board with Baza here. He does have a penalty. Tom Putty doesn't have a penalty, but maybe he could get past the Alpine driver. Oh, Connor crashed again. Connor. He's just trying to finish this race, guys. Actually, whenever you... Well, it's in the official F1 rules, because I had a discussion with somebody in my own competition there. Whenever you finish... I think it's the 95% of the race. Whenever you finish 90% of the race or something, and you DNF, you still score points from the place where you end up in eventually. So that would be P10 for Connor Havoc. So if that is something you're looking into, make sure you're actually looking into that, and yeah, hand out points to Connor whenever he crashes, I guess. But this is definitely causing a dangerous situation for J5 Gaming, because he's got his teammate ahead, as Pump Dog just sent me an invite. Very interesting. Here comes Baza on the tail of Tom Putty. There's not much he can do. He's got a penalty. Let's look at the penalties in general. 3 seconds for everybody except for Brother Adam, and then the guys who didn't get a single penalty. And he got away from composite, so Brother Adam is going to score a top 3 position. Good job, Brother Adam. He held up tight, as it's going to cause a dangerous situation here as well for Connor Havoc. He did place his car there on the exit of turn... I think that must be turn 16. And J5 Gaming now finishes the Grand Prix in P1. Congratulations, as he will be your race winner here in Singapore. Pumbear gets a P2. And a great race from Cake Sauber as well, as they're going to score a P4 and a P5 position. Both of them used their jokers, so a lot of points for Cake Sauber as well. If I'm not mistaken, 20 for Skipper and 24 for Composite. So well done to Cake Sauber as well. Tom Putty is one of the guys who also used his joker for tonight. So he will be scoring a total of 16 points, if I'm not mistaken. Baza had to come into the pits, and so did Raikkonen, but they threw away a top 3 position, I'm afraid. So they're not going to be happy with that at all. But still, they finished the Grand Prix, one of the, well, possibly the most difficult Grand Prix of the season. And let's go through the results of the actual race real quick. Here we've got the podium. J5 Gaming throwing, kicking the football in the crowd. And what a way to finish this Grand Prix. Your race winner is J5 Gaming. Fastest lap goes to Baza, so that will be 1 extra point for the Williams driver. Driver of the day goes to Brother Adam, and the most overtakes also goes to Brother Adam. Apparently the cleanest driver is J5 Gaming, and the biggest reason is because he didn't, get in contact with any other drivers, so that is good news, I guess. So the race win, as mentioned before, goes to J5 Gaming. He wins the race by about 10 seconds on the rest of the field. Pumbear in P2 and Brother Adam in P3. He did get a 6-second time penalty, so he didn't get that 6-second time penalty. He would have gotten in P2. But it was really close, actually. Even with that 6-second time penalty, there's only 8 hundreds in between himself and Pumbear. And then we've got Composite there in P4 and Skipper in P5. So Cake Sauber did a good job there, but also Aston Martin, VCARB, and McLaren. Alpine in P6, Alpine, what am I saying? Tom Putty in P6. We've got Baza with the fastest lap in P7, Raikkonen in P8, NLT Rush in P9, and Connor Havoc, who still finished the Grand Prix in P10. Piney Penguin and BA Badups are not going to score any points in this Grand Prix because they have DNF'd throughout the race. That was the Singapore Grand Prix here in Delta RT Racing. I hope you guys all enjoyed the commentary and the race itself. I would like to thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys probably next week. This was BB Thomas as a commentator. Peace out. Bye-bye.